Today in Formula One, the Checo Championship hype train gets stuck in the gravel. Mercedes find their hidden sandbags. Albon drives a blue tractor into Q3. Alright, welcome back. Sebastian here with my review of the Australian Grand Prix qualifying. So we'll get started right away. So half the cars go out at the start, mostly cars in the lower midfield to bottom teams. Albon's the first car to get time on the board, but it's quite slow. It's in like the 130s. Red Bull start their fast laps. There's yellow flags because Sargent has a spin at turns 13 and 14. He locks up going into turn 13 and then tries accelerating while on the curb, and the cars really don't like that, and it sends the car right into a spin. Verstappen starts a hot lap but has a very slow sector 1, and then probably the big defining moment of qualifying. Perez is in the gravel trap and there's a red flag. So he basically locks the front tires going up into turn 3, can't get the car slowed down or rotated, and just goes straight into the gravel. He tries to turn the car a bit and try to get into that like escape road at the back of the gravel pit, but isn't able to do so and gets the car beached. So Perez is out of qualifying. And he was saying on the radio that he had struggled with that turn in FP3 and it was the same problem. So I don't know if it was highly unlikely it was him just making a mistake, but consistently, because it was the same problem he was having in practice. But then again, it seems like it's a mistake for Perez. So after the red flag, cars start coming out right away again, and they need to get a lap on the board in case rain comes, as there's kind of just been very heavy rain clouds in the air, but no rain so far yet. Verstappen goes fastest right away, but it's only 0.3 tenths ahead of Hulkenberg, so definitely much more pace in the car. Stroll third, Alonso fifth, and I wrote maybe 2 warm-up laps are necessary because it seems like it was very cold in Melbourne today, and car tires really needed the extra lap to get up to temperature. Albon goes second in the Williams. 3 minutes in, 3 minutes left, Alonso fastest, and then Verstappen goes fastest. Bottas, Sargent in trouble at this point, and so are both McLarens in the drop zone. Bottas out, Gasly was on the edge, only 15th. Zhou out, Piastri only 16th and out as well. I think Bottas was complaining about traffic on the radio. So after Q1, your 5 drivers that were knocked out are Perez, who doesn't set a lap on the board, Bottas, Sargent, Zhou, and Piastri at his home race for the first time. The top 5 in Q1 were Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, Ocon, and Alonso. Q2 cars go out right away again. Aston Martin go top after the first runs with Stroll in first. Leclerc goes fastest, Sainz fourth. Hulkenberg looking very good, similar times to the Ferraris and Aston Martin. Verstappen fastest by 3 tenths. They showed a replay of Norris going for a trip through the gravel. So the McLaren looking very difficult to drive. We also saw it being very difficult to drive, I think, later on, just where it seems very twitchy and very unstable. Yes, Alpine's yet to set a time with 7.5 minutes left to go in the session, so they really needed to get a good time on the board. Alpha Towers look to be at risk, both of them in the drop zone. Norris fighting to get out of Q2 was ahead of Albon after Sector 1, but behind after Sector 2 on his last final lap, and goes 10th. Albon goes 9th right after with the fastest Sector 2 time. So the Williams of Albon looked exceptionally good in Sector 2, all qualifying. So Magnussen, the Alpha Towers, Norris, and Gasly were in the dropout zone at this point. Showed a replay of Verstappen going wide to avoid a bird. So Seb Vettel would be proud of that moment there. So De Vries slow going into Sector 1. Magnussen out. Gasly gets out of the drop zone. Hulkenberg goes P3 somehow in his Haas. De Vries out, Tsunoda 2. And your so the 5 cars out of Q2 are De Vries, Magnussen, Norris, Tsunoda, and Ocon, who I don't believe set a time, or didn't set a time right at the end of qualifying as he was in the garage at the time. Your top 5 from Q2 are Verstappen, Alonso, Sainz, Leclerc, and somehow Nico Hulkenberg, thinking he's in a Ferrari. Q3, Ferrari believe rain will come only for the last 3 to 4 minutes of the session. So cars really needs to set a lap at the start of the session before rain comes. Like if any of you remember about Brazil last year, it was rain started falling about partway through Q3, and was really whoever got the lap in first before the rain came, and that was Magnussen, and gave him pole position. So the same thing could be on the cards here today. Verstappen was first on the board with a 17.5, not a particularly clean lap. He made a couple, was a bit scruffy with some of the corners. Alonso's fastest by 2.7 tenths. Leclerc goes second, followed by Sainz, who also goes second and knocks his teammate down. Times dropping quickly as Hamilton goes first. Verstappen then goes fastest by 9 thousandths of a second, so very, very close, it seems, between the Red Bulls and the Mercedes. Rain in 4 minutes according to Sainz radio. Stroll only 0.3 off of Verstappen. He set his first lap in Q3 about halfway through the session, so he's kind of out of sync with the other drivers. Maybe difficult to get, and then I wrote maybe difficult to get a fast lap in before rain comes, as it needs to get 2 laps to get the tires ready. That proved not to be the case, as the rain never came. So for the final flying laps and dying moments of Q3, Leclerc was only 5th, and Verstappen then sets a monster time of 16.7 and fastest by 5 tenths against the second best time at the time. Stroll goes up to 4th, then Russell goes 2nd, and Hamilton 3rd. So your classification and your provisional starting grid after qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix are Verstappen with a pole position time of a 1:16.732. Russell 2nd, 2 tenths down. Hamilton 3rd, 3.5 tenths down. Alonso 4th, 4 tenths down. Sainz 5th, 5 tenths down. Stroll 6th, 5.5 tenths down. Leclerc 7th, 6 tenths down. 8th Albon, really good showing for him. 8.5 tenths down off of Verstappen's time. 9th Gasly, about 9.5 tenths off of Verstappen, and then 10th Hülkenberg is second off. So Hülkenberg, I thought maybe could have been mixing it up with the Ferraris. Maybe could have been a little bit higher. Maybe he used up his tires. We don't know. But nonetheless, those were your top 10. Then your bottom 10. Ocon 11th. I don't have the gaps at the moment, but yeah, Ocon 11th, Tsunoda 12th, Norris 13th, Magnussen 14th, De Vries 15th, Piastri 16th, 17th Show, 18th Sargent, 19th Bottas, and 20th, not saying a lap on the board, of course, Sergio Perez. So we have a Red Bull sandwich in qualifying. So that's all for qualifying. I think the grid even looks quite interesting. Of course, Australia is always a very difficult track to overtake. Maybe the weather plays a role. I think the forecast last I saw was I was supposed to say dry for the race. But regardless, we have Perez starting at the back, so it'll be interesting to see how far through the field, how fast he can cut through the field as well. Also be interesting, I think, of course, as like previous races, to see how the two teams in 2nd to 4th do. So Mercedes, Aston, Ferrari, that battle I think will be very interesting. So that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. It really helps out. And if you want to see more content, including my review of the Grand Prix tomorrow, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.